We're now 1 month into 2020 and some interesting things have already happened in the tabletop role-playing community. While I have posted update videos before, this is going to be a bit different. This video is divided into 3 parts. First, I'm going to talk about some tabletop RPG news from January this year. I'm then going to give a shout out to a content creator that I enjoyed this month. And finally, I'm going to share some news and updates related to my own channel and content. My goal for this year is to make a video like this every month, focusing primarily on the RPG news related to that month. Onyx Path Publishing has announced their new game They Came From Beyond the Grave. This is a new B-movie type RPG that's a tongue-in-cheek horror game using the Storypath system. As an independent follow-up to They Came From Beneath the Sea, which draws from 1950s science fiction, They Came From Beyond the Grave draws from 60s and 70s horror movies. Onyx Path writes in their press release, "This game will be designed to evoke everything dramatic and theatrical of the classics from Hammer, Amicus and Roger Corman libraries, along with other Dark House movie gems, where mysteries take place in old manors, old vampires stalk guests, and something evil lurks in the woods." The game is developed by Matthew Dawkins, who also developed They Came From Beneath the Sea. It's still in first draft and is scheduled for a 2021 release following a Kickstarter. Swedish publisher Free League Publishing has announced the acquisition of the Coriolis game property from Paradox Interactive. The game was first published by Free League in 2017 under license from Paradox Interactive, but is now solely owned by Free League. It was originally conceived by game designers from the Free League publishing team, and they are happy to see it return to their own hands. Game director Mattias Jonsson Hake says that Coriolis was the first ever brand we created from scratch, and it feels fantastic to have it return to base. Most people who play role-playing games have at least heard of the weekly live play show Critical Role, where a group of voice actors sit together and play Dungeons & Dragons. Matthew Mercer, Chief Creative Officer and Dungeon Master of Critical Role, has collaborated with Wizards of the Coast in order for them to publish a new 304-page 5th edition supplement called Explorer's Guide to Wildemount, and it's due for release already in March. The book will present Wildemount as a setting and contain introductory adventures, dozens of story-inspiring plot seeds, and a new Heroic Chronicle system. There are also new character options such as the Echo Knight Fighter subclass, spells of Dunamancy, new monsters, and more. Mercer did make a lengthy Reddit post where he elaborated on the project. He said that, "I've spent the better part of 1.5 years working on this project, along with some incredible contributors to make this something we could all be extremely proud of. I set out to create this book not as a tome specifically for fans of Critical Role, but as a love letter to the D&D community as a whole." He went on to say, "I want this book to not only be a vibrant, unique setting for non-critter players and Dungeon Masters young and old, experienced or new, but also a resource of inspiration for DMs to pull from regardless of what setting they're running the game in." If you want to read a full post, check the link in the description below. In the time since the book's announcement, it seems to be breaking some pre-ordering records for Dungeons & Dragons materials. Wizard of the Coast's Greg Tito said on a Twitch stream that the book was ranked number 1 for all books on Amazon. Critical Role setting is unsurprisingly proving to be more popular than traditional D&D settings, and I'm sure there are a lot of people triggered by that. Modiphius has released a print and play PDF starter pack called New Blood for Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition. This starter pack is designed with new storytellers and players in mind and features a beginner-friendly story, a rules reference guide, printable enemy victim cards, 7 player characters, and a relationship map. It's specifically designed to be easy to play without any prior knowledge of the game or the World of Darkness setting. Logan Bonner is a former Wizards of the Coast editor for Dungeons & Dragons 3.5 and designer for a lot of 4th edition content. He later joined Paizo as a contract editor and was hired for development and editing work back in 2012. Now he's the lead designer for Pathfinder. He announced on Twitter that "This is officially official now, I'm now the Pathfinder lead designer. That means I'm in charge of the overall rules ecology for Pathfinder 2nd edition. Well, the parts made by Paizo anyway." This month I'm going to give a shout out to the podcast Twin Cities by Night for trying their hands on Exalted 3rd edition. They finished their 5-episode playthrough of Tomb of Dreams, and you can find a link to the first episode in the description below. As for my own channel, I have started my Solar Charms review series, where the goal is to go through all of the Solar Charms in the Exalted 3rd Edition core book, review them and revise those I think can be improved. As of the making of this video, I've so far published a video for Archery and Athletics Charms, and I aim to have all 25 abilities done before the end of 2020. This channel will primarily cover Exalted because that's the game I know the best, but I want to expand the channel somewhat to cover at least a few other games to some degree, so that I can provide some content for people who aren't into Exalted. Because we're now in 2020 and the Cyberpunk Red core book will be released this year, I intend to start covering that game in full once it's released. I've considered making some videos already before the core book's release, but since I have a lot of videos I want to get done, I don't want to promise anything yet. I also want to make some more Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition content on this channel, primarily because I want to get more into the World of Darkness myself. Since I'm still learning the game and its world, I aim to start producing V5 content by continuing the V5 Basic series, where I delve into the system foundations before I expand into wider content. I also aim to start producing content for one additional game this year, Trinity Continuum. The reason I chose this game is because I've always wanted to get into the story path system, and I'm also a fan of science fiction. Since Trinity appeals more to me than other story path games, I decided to make that my entry point. Finally, there's this video. One of my goals of 2020 is to make a monthly RPG news series where I cover that month's news in tabletop role-playing as well as any channel updates. While I've made channel updates before in 2019, this is my first video where I focus more on the RPG news and less on the updates. I do have a roadmap of video content going forward, but I'm also curious to know what content you like to see. Please comment below with video suggestions, whether they are new games you want me to cover, game rules you want me to discuss, or anything role-playing related. I was less productive with Patreon updates during fall of 2019 than I'd hoped to be. This was partially because of my internship as a mental health counselor and partially because I got stuck on Machineborn for a while. Having worked on the game for over 1.5 years now, I had gone from a single core book into 3 distinct core books, only to realize that I had crammed too much content into the game, that it had become poor game design. Those of you familiar with Exalted 3rd Edition and the gripes some people have with that game is that all of the available charms can give new players choice paralysis. Machineborn suffered from the same problem. I had almost 100 pages of only BioWare, and that's not counting Cyberware feats, Machineborn protocols, world coding algorithms, cosmic coding protocols, Godware protocols and technologies. Machineborn is a high-powered game where power scales are divided into tiers. These tiers are the human tier, the machine tier, the world tier and the cosmic tier. I decided to cut everything beyond the human tier from the core book, focusing the core book on the human experience and leave the high-powered stuff for later. This means that I can deliver a more streamlined and easy-to-read book, where everything is available in the same book. The higher tier content will still be there eventually, but it will be delayed. But at least there will be a game available. If you sign up for my Patreon, you'll be able to follow the production along and see previews of this new core book now during spring, some of which have already been released. I aim to have a new playtest ready by summer. This is it for January 2020. If you like this video, be sure to like, comment, share and subscribe. I have a feeling that 2020 is going to be a good year for role-playing games as well as a good year for this channel. I don't think we'll get all the way to 1,000 subscribers before the end of this year, but maybe we can reach 500. Either way, there's going to be a lot more updates than before, but real life still dictates that I can't follow a regular schedule. Still, I'm motivated to see what the year brings, and I hope you are too. Until next time.